Now, I've always been curious. I've heard of individuals microdosing psilocybin.
Yeah.
Now, is that medicinal and recreational just in Michigan?
It's illegal.
Oh, psilocybin.
So that's when I was talking about my friend,
Okay.
who's a hockey player. He played on the Blackhawks. He raised $18 million to run a project that was research and development for research of his patent protocol that actually my doctor partner Jeremy made. And him and Carcillo, they partnered up on this, and they brought it to the FDA. And there's probably a handful of these companies that are doing it right now, and a lot of them go public. They're public in the Canadian Stock Exchange, and they have patent processes on psilocybin and how you microdose with psilocybin. It allowed me, again, I'm not the best person for that job right now. I need to learn about that area, right? So even just driving down this street over here, you see everything that's pretty dope in Lombard, right? Every different restaurant, you kind of get a feel. So you hit the streets, you go door to door, and then that gives you some, levity on what people are concerned with in the little area that you live in. So
you start to catch the vibe and the essence.
Yeah. Why don't you guys tell me about yourselves first? Tell me about you, Tristan.
I got into selling life insurance when I was 18 years old, and then did fairly well my first couple years in the industry, and then got an opportunity to move out here and kind of partner up with the Chicago market, and that's put myself in a more of an equity building opportunity per se. But we don't own the book of business, so I don't know. I guess that's loose terminology, but just more opportunity. So came out here.
19?
No, I'm 25 now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, so I'm
baby face.
Yeah, no, thank you. So I'm going on. It'll be 7 years in September. And that's pretty much it, man. I grew up in the South, Arkansas, and parents split up when I was young, and had some adversity they faced, and I really didn't have a relationship with my dad. Haven't really for my entire life. And my mom was from Pennsylvania, so I did half my life in Arkansas, and the other half, I guess, of my youth in Pennsylvania. And insurance has moved me all around the nation. So
Arkansas has the prettiest blonde haired women I've ever seen.
Yes, yeah. That's my.
Is that a known fact?
I think so. I think Arkansas, Alabama, that southern, the southern belt in general. That's my favorite.
Well, I played backup quarterback at Kentucky.
Okay, I saw the University of Kentucky in your bio. I was actually on the field of Kentucky for a game a season or two ago. I don't know. I think one of our business partners has a connection there, so we went out and got to be on the field. Had like a intro experience.
Now.
Yeah. So I think they did pretty well this past year. Speaking of football, Saban and Belichick out the same week.
Well, all those coaches, right? I mean, even the Bears coordinators too. It's a tough world to be in that professional. My brother was a scout for 22 years, a brother-in-law in the front office. And he didn't have any holidays, man. That life is dedicated to that craft. And it's you win now or you're gone, right? Not for long.
It is. Every season, man. It's a whole new deal. So.
Well, they were going to trade Belichick too.
Yeah.
Imagine trading a coach. I think that what's the value of trading him?
They were trying to get some draft picks from that.
Yeah.
I don't know. We had JR in here talking about Belichick.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think once you've ascended to such a high level, what's next? How do you keep going? Sometimes you might just need to go somewhere else and reset,
If I were him, I'd go to an island and chill.
Yeah, I think so too.
But that's why I've always liked David, right? Because he's a hustler. Alluding to what you were saying and your culture over here, it's like, that's what I was thinking on my way over here. I was like, what do I really like about David? And it was like, this guy, he's just a natural born leader. He's just enthusiastic, energetic, and it's authentic, right? It's real.
Yeah, it's genuine.
Like when we met, he's like, come hang with me, right? Get to know me. And, how do I do this? How do I do that? And always wanted to learn more. And that's what's really unique. You have a really young, energetic attitude about you, David, that a lot of people, I'm pretty tired, right?
Yeah.
I got the flu shot yesterday, the vaccine, and it messed me up, man. Instantly. Yeah. It totally destabilized my mind.
Yeah.
And it got me sick, but not physically sick, mentally sick.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest thing ever.
The flu shot or the actual vaccine?
Flu shot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a flu vaccine, right?
Okay,
not the other vaccine.
Okay, yeah, no, I was curious.
Yeah. No, I've gotten that one twice, and the doctor told me to get it more.
Yeah.
And I was like, my wife said don't get it, so I was like, I'm not going to get it. But
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not against that kind of thing, right? But it knocked me out, man.
Yeah.
It put me down.
Did you get the fever?
Yeah, I woke up today lightheaded. Felt like shit. Woke up at 5, started working. I did a cold tub before I came here.
Same here, man.
And now it's really nice.
Yeah.
So you take that Ascend gummy. That's nice during the day, right? It's gonna give you a little.
Let's see Ascend gummy. Let's
orange
grab
one.
that.
Give you a little kick. And the mushrooms we use, we grow on our own farm in Indiana, so they're pretty strong. And it's got
That's an energy.
It's a spark, yeah.
Okay.
It's a little spark of it's like an
Maple
energy
syrup,
drink.
pomegranate juice, water, honey, gelatin.
Yeah, that's a
tapioca
different
starch.
formula actually, but yeah, that's we put a sticker over that now. But yeah, there's two ways to make it. You can make it vegan or not vegan.
Now, is this purely organic?
It's not organic, but it's all natural, right?
It's all
so
natural.
everything we're making now with microdoses is super forward healthy. With mushrooms we grow and adaptogens and nootropics.
Oh, this
like
is
you
cool.
said.
Micro doses.
Yeah, like microdoses. Like I said, I work with a lot of psychonauts, and they've really evolved. I tell them I got to sell everything legal.
Now,
right?
what does the FDA consider different between organic and all natural?
So organic is grown in a specific organic fashion, and if you want to have an organic product, it has to be 90% organic for you to call it organic. So the ingredients are more expensive, and you have to have, like, when you read through that label, we actually use organic mushrooms, but they're only 2 parts of our formula. So they're like 15% of our formula.
Yeah.
So it's not even getting close to the organic level.
Can I try one of these?
Yeah, do it. I brought it for y'all. And then take 2 of the gummies over there, split those at night.
What are those are to help you sleep?
Yeah, little passion flower. And that one's, so they both have a mushroom called Amanita muscaria. And
Okay.
Amanita is a really nice mushroom. It hits your GABA system, so it hits your mind in a way that, you feel something pretty quickly. And that's that one will make you a little tired. Then that one should give you a little boost. But that shot, I'll
Take
bring.
one?
Yeah, take one. Yeah.
No.
They're a little chewy, a little thick, like a little beefy meal.
Tastes good.
Yeah, they're not bad.
And what are you supposed to feel from this?
Like all these things, you take mushrooms and stuff, unless they're psychedelic, you're not going to feel anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna get high.
You're not, no.
We're gonna get high on this.
No, if you
podcast.
took that shot,
No.
you'd get high. That shot would make you high.
Oh,
And then this ketone drink, this is like a non-alcoholic offering. This has 12 grams of the ketone in it, of different things. Like I said, schizandria berry, calcium butyrate, and then R1, R3, and this will get you a little high. But it's all natural. Like I told you, it's the cleanest burn. Like this is taurine and guarana. Like this is energy. This is energy too. So it's a little bit different flow.
this actually tastes good.
Before we get any further, let's formulate a little bit of an introduction. So another episode of Adversity Kings. We have special guest today. You want to introduce?
Yeah. So this is BJ Mccaslin, and known BJ now for 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years, and quite the serial entrepreneur. So, I mean, you've done stuff I didn't even realize. So I'm going to go ahead and just read it. So you co-founded a national renewable energy company in 2008. So looks like you exited 2 years, 4 months.
Well, we went bankrupt in that. We lost like 30 million. My father and my uncle had this on-site wind technology that they developed and pioneered, and we had some really, really dope flows. Like I cold called James Cameron, the guy who created Avatar.
Yeah.
And his brother JD, who passed, who's so James Cameron, all his movies, he has a veteran element to them, because his brother JD was his best friend and his mentor, and he was a veteran. So I cold called them, got a wind turbine. It looked like the back of a steamboat, and we put it on top of roofs, right? Little did we know until we put the 30 million into it that the wind resource wasn't even viable at that height.
Oh my gosh.
And then when you make wind technology, your efficiencies are 37% at the best when your resources at the top level of how big your thing is, like physically long or big. That's why wind mills you see and wind turbines you see are massive.
Yeah.
And so we thought it'd be cute to have small wind energy, right? And when you see these small wind turbines all around the world, they don't make any energy. So we put a bunch of dough into it. We had a really cool novel technology, but at the end of the day, I learned a lot. My uncle and my dad and we failed in that, but I was young, and that's really where I learned how. We had like a burn of like 300K a month with these NASA engineers, Lockheed Martin, and they were super smart. And we were doing really cool stuff, but I learned how not to like run up your burn rate in a company monthly. It's like that's one of my skill sets, is not like going out of business, right? I can stay.
That's literally what I'm texting one of the assistants about right now. She's like, business Amex is going off too much. I'm like, she's like, it's the DoorDash. I'm like, I just DoorDash apples and bananas, so it can't be the DoorDash. But I'm literally almost like sitting here like annoyed.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you pick up on the energy, but I'm literally texting about more so the burn rate in regard. And me and Dave are on the same page. Maybe it's like a young thing, obviously with him having that youthful energy as well, where I'm just like, spend it. You know what I mean? Put it all in on red, put it all in on black type of mentality
I'm
of
a
like
big gambler, yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's
Yeah.
like, dude, I'm like 25 years old. I'm like, if there's any type of like risk that I'm gonna take, I want to take it all right now and go all in right now. Especially when the money is in direct correspondence to like our sales force in the business. It'd be different if it's like I had like 100 Lamborghinis outside or something.
Yeah, you're talking about
like
stuff
that.
that's going to fuel the team to be more positive
Yes.
and progressive. I mean,
Yeah.
like a DoorDash, that's just going to make people happy.
Yes,
I
yeah.
love a
Well,
DoorDash
even that,
in my
and more
spot.
so, even just like I'm a big incentives guy. You know what I mean? Like if I can get guys courtside seats or different, like that's gonna be $5,000, $10,000. You know what I mean? And it's like I won't hesitate and like calculate. Well, how much production do I need? I'm just more of a I'll make it back down the road.
Well, when I was a young hustler, I did like mortgages, right? And that's all I
Yeah.
did it for was
Yeah.
like the trip to Vegas or
Yeah.
the money that I was making at the time, but it was the perks. So that was like the culture that I was 20, 21 when I got out of school. And
Yeah.
I literally found the ad in the newspaper, the Daily Herald, and I called the guy and I was like, what's this about? He's like, just come in for an interview. And he's like, and to be honest, I don't really care if you come or not. And he's like, we're making money. And so I went and I was just cold calling out of the phone book 7 days a week, right?
Yeah.
And I really worked well in Englewood in Chicago. So that was my network. But I'm the same way. Like that kind of camaraderie when I'm that age, like that's what I live for. Like as 40, it's a different kind of flow, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a pretty tired guy now. So
Yeah.
Let me
Absolutely.
keep going and let me intro you because you've got a pretty big home run in here that I'm sure we can talk about. So then from there, you went and co-founded a ready-to-drink coffee and coconut water. And looks like that one from 2010, September of 2010 to April of 2015. From inception to exit, 4 years, 8 months. Am I reading that right?
yeah, so
That was acquired by Vita Coco?
that was Vita Coco, right? Coco on the NASDAQ. It's the best drink company in the world, right? So you have Prime Energy. Like Prime is a great drink too, but Vita Coco is still a top drink. Vita Coco makes ingredients for Prime back in the day. So for me, I had a restaurant right when I got out of college after the mortgages, and that kind of gave me my interest in beverages. So I didn't really know the back of the house, I didn't know the front of the house, but I really liked to formulate drinks, and I really got behind the bar, and I could go to every table in my restaurant and know what everybody was drinking at every time, right? And that was just kind of my thing. And so I moved back to Venice Beach. I had a bum spot on the boardwalk in Venice Beach. I was like studying for law school. I met a kid on Craigslist named Alon. I was looking for a place to stay on the water. And a wind energy company was going bankrupt. I remember taking a flight back from Europe and looking out the window and like, this wind energy's done. So I moved into Alon's apartment with him right on the beach, Santa Monica Boulevard. And it was his idea. So everything I typically do is someone else's idea. My restaurant, it was tapas, the Mediterranean, that was someone's idea. The wind energy was someone's idea, and this coconut water coffee. So I was like, Alon, he heard me every day hustling, saw me going down the beach, selling on the boardwalk. And he was like, what are you going to do next? And I was trying to figure out what I did next. So I found this accessory. I sold it to Forever 21. It made a couple $100,000, and it bought me some time. And I was like, I love tea. I was like, I want to make this drink. And he's like, well, you know what coconut water is? And I'm like, I've only seen it in bodegas. So it was 2010, 2011, right? What did it say the date was I started it?
September 2010.
Yeah, so September 2010. I sold the company in November of 2010.
Dang.
Yeah, so I sold it like in 3 months.
Dang.
I won Best New Beverage Entrepreneur from Coca-Cola BevNet in December, and we closed the deal with Vita Coco in January. I literally moved from Venice Beach to to New York in January and slept in the office, right? I told Mike, the CEO.
I've been there.
Yeah, it was like, dude, there's a hammock, and then like there was a shower, and it was New York too.
Yeah.
So like I lived in LA, but the west side of LA was pretty cheap at that time. New York was a different world for me. It was super expensive. So
Yeah.
like I finally sublet a place a year later, and it was like 6 different guys that just got out of college.
Yeah.
But I was young, and I had ripped jeans. I remember I was dating a girl because there's tons of girls in New York, and I was like, I went, and they finally gave us our first buyout, and it was a cash up front deal, right? So they bought us, they gave us some cash, and then we took equity in their company, and they took equity in our company. And then in 3 years, we had a deal that said they'd buy us out at 3.5 times our revenue.
Gotcha.
So it's just gross revenue, right? And so whatever we owned in our company at the time, Alon and I, that's what we got to split. So, and we
It's
had
like a Sarasani steal. Remember, John?
Yeah, I've heard about his thing, right? His
Yeah.
buyout. And Alon and I both had employment contracts for 3 years that were ironclad. And I could go on and on about Vita Coco, man. Like I'm on a group chat with still their leadership, and I talk to these 3 guys every day, Borgo and Stahl and Goldie. Goldie's like an All-American tennis player from Wisconsin, and he lives in Brooklyn. And we just roamed the world for like 3 years, man, going from state to state, city to city, and launching distributors. But it was an amazing project, and it's just a really tough business. But we had a great leader at the time and multiple great leaders. So
I personally watched you do that. So then from there, October 2018, started again, ready to drink segment, but this time it's in wine spritzer.
Well, so I went to India in 2015, and I brought over a spirit from India, an esoteric spirit that was distilled from the cashew apple. I went to Goa with some of my friends for like 90 days, and all we ate was like chicken fingers and Pizza Hut, right? So in Tyson, and then peanut butter. I mean, we had some good Indian food, but it was a very big culture shock for us being in Southeast Asia for that long of a time. And we found this liquor. We brought it back to America. Nobody liked it, right? Not even the Indians liked it. It smelled like shit. It tasted like asphalt, but got really good ratings. It got like an 88 from the Wine Enthusiast, 92 from the tasting panel. So I started it with, this was the start of my whole liquor kind of career, right, in 2015. So I started learning compliance about liquor, the liquor distribution, which is much different than non-alcoholic distribution and in health and wellness. In that world, to me, that's the most difficult level of distribution I've ever been a part of, is selling a product like a wine and a spirit. So we took the liquor for 2 years, Finney, and then we transitioned into the wine spritz. We were in New Orleans launching a cocktail mix we did with that project. And I met a girl, and she's like, I'm the third best canned wine in the nation. It was small, right? Small velocity, small overhead. So I was like, this is something that I can penetrate in 2018. So I started the canned wine. It didn't grow. From 2018 to 2024, the segment didn't grow. The segment actually decreased. So I went against what I thought, like your comment of going all in on a concept. Like I really went all in on this category thinking canned wine. But when you go buy wine, people are buying bottles.
Yeah.
So then my thought was like, okay, well, where does this fit in convenient-wise? So we started going to festivals, like with Live Nation. We started putting at concerts, sponsoring NASCAR. It's at Wrigley Field. So a really cool concept. And it fits, because what I do with everything I do, as you'll see, is I take the top end of ingredients, the most expensive ingredients I can find, and I put it into a product, and I try to charge for the least, right?
Yes.
I was doing a sample in Malibu and place called PC Green, super expensive, and I was pouring my coconut water coffee, and this guy was like, make it for the masses, not the classes. So I always thought that in my head. It was like, so even that's why our mushrooms, and I tell that shot right there, that energy shot, so many people are selling Delta 9 things right now, it's just Delta 9 flavor and water. We have these expensive ass mushrooms. L-theanine's expensive. The ketones are $1 into that bottle, right? So when you talk about people's total cost of goods, that bottle usually probably costs someone like 70 cents. That thing cost me almost $3. So I'm always doing that. I'm always tripling what people are putting into their products. And that's what we did with the wine. Instead of sugar, we use monk fruit. Instead of just bulk wine, we went to a vineyard in Washington and got really, really good wine. So you can taste the quality, taste the difference. But the problem is, unless you have marketing, none of that shit matters.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm not great at. My wife's a CMO, and that's like with this project I'm on now, it's like I really brought in the best of the best minds to market.
With Berkshire, right?
She was with Sotheby's.
Sotheby's.
She worked at Berkshire for a while. She worked at Sotheby's. She's with child now. We have our first baby on the way, Hendrix.
Let's go.
Yeah, like future Hendrix.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Like Jimmy. So
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like,
like
I'm assuming.
Jimmy.
So I got some Jimi Hendrix songs.
Yeah.
That's dope.
I love
That's dope,
it.
dude.
Yeah, we're stoked, man. So we're of age to finally do it.
Yeah. Are you boy or girl? Do you know her?
Boy.
Boy. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hendrix.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, Hendrix could be a girl's name too.
Yeah.
It's a cool girl's name. Do you have any kids?
I do not, dude. I've met a few entrepreneurs that I feel like I resonate with more of like a. I feel like my path will probably be more of like a late 30s, maybe early
I'm 40.
40s.
I just got married.
I could see early 40s being me because I'm so gung ho on like the money's cool and all, and I have not made a lot of money. I've seen a couple commas on a 1099, but like for me the idea of just being number one and winning, I'm just a very like not a super like intelligent aside from like self-education. I'll read a lot, but like scholastically, I couldn't tell you like about bar exams and law and all that. But like competitive wise, I want to be number one, and I know I'm willing to pay the price. And I couldn't see a woman being cool with the way that I'm ready to rock for the next 10 or 15 years minimum. Of like, I'll stay at this office 24/7 for the next 15 years. Just to, I want to do $1 billion just through this insurance company. I've marked it out. I think the metropolitan area of Chicago is 10 million people. The average leader in our company does about 100,000 in top line revenue a year. 10,000 people is like 0.001% of Chicago. And
Well, I need some life insurance.
I'm so bought in on it. And even like, yeah, making good
Now you
relationships
do.
with people.
No,
like,
I do, yeah, and I
with,
need it. I
with
need
the
to set
life
it up for
insurance.
my kid. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
man.
Let me know.
But that's where it's like, I like that. And before, when I first got into the industry and I had to start to create a better, more promising image, especially working with the blue car demographic, and then obviously a little bit of an older demographic, because you're not really selling. Like, I got in at 18. I wasn't selling insurance to 18-year-olds. I was selling insurance to 30, 40, 50-year-olds. Yeah. And so it's like I had to cut my hair. You know, I did all these things that, you know, maybe I didn't necessarily have to do, but I wanted to create an image where they could kind of trust me a little more. And I think for me, it's like, again, it goes back to that expense thing, and I'm willing to pay any price. I always tell people I spend in correspondence with my dreams, not with what I currently have.
Well, I love that. And you have a great partner with David.
Phenomenal
right?
partner.
He's got the same energy.
It's same energy. You know what I mean? But we have a good counterbalance too, because where like I might have a little bit of excessive immaturity, he definitely brings me back down to earth. You know what I mean?
I'm still not mature, right? Like, that's what I always think about your children. Like, they're so grown. I'm having first baby problems and first baby stress, and you know, I come talk to you, and I wonder what kind of stress you even have in your life. Like, I know you probably have to have some stress, but your boy just graduated a year ago, right, from Michigan?
Yeah, from Michigan, yeah. And then the other one graduated
Ohio,
Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
So he's going to be, he's actually going to go into investment banking and then hopefully go into private equity with Lincoln International.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah. So boys are on a great trajectory. You know, Mike's live in Scottsdale now.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
Man, that guy's living a life. We got to go out there.
Yeah. He was just at the national championship. Flew in with his fraternity brothers. Flew down to Houston. And,
he went to the game?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, man. He's living his very best life. You know.
So we have season tickets to Michigan football in my family since the '60s.
Right. We do.
And I bet against him.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Because I like that quarterback. I like Penix. Yeah, but that was not a
Washington?
good. Yeah. But he was shook, man.
Yeah, he was. He got rocked.
Yeah, you should go to that Scottsdale National Golf event. It's an amazing event.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's in February, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's got his buddies coming in. His fraternity brothers are flying in from across the country.
What frat was he in?
Pike.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a big thing for them. They're all going. Mike recently took up golfing.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
You got to go, man. It's sick.
Okay.
You can get different.
It's a TPC, right?
Yeah, you get different tier tickets. Like the 16th hole is a great ticket, and then that's probably the best place to be. It's that party hole, right?
Okay.
And there's a couple other, but you get them early too, though, because that thing sells out. But I was born in Phoenix, as I told you, right? This Camel's for Camelback Mountain.
Okay. That mountain tried to kill me, by the way, last year.
Yeah?
Yeah. We went, and the peak, it was like 100 and some degrees.
Do people die?
It was trying to kill me, I'm telling you. That Camelback Mountain and I are going to have a round two.
Yeah.
And this time's going to go down different.
You got to go over and back.
We did go over.
Did you go back?
Yeah. Well, we got to the top
then you walk
and then came back down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you got to go over, back, and then walk back the same way you came. That's the move.
Okay.
That's tough.
It was 100 some degrees. There's no shade.
You can't do it in 100 degrees. Yeah, it's too hot. You got to go.
Yeah,
super
well, it
early.
wasn't intended for that. It's just it took me 3 hours. My son goes and does that during lunch. Like he'll go up and run up and down.
That's why I love Phoenix. Like,
Yeah.
I love that area.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's going to be negative here, in the next few days. Like, what do you do?
Yeah. Get out, leave.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I took my nephew, he's a great quarterback in the Bay Area, over to Kelly Holcomb's Next Level Athletics. That's in the Bow Dome, right? That's where JJ trained with that dude.
Kelly, yep.
And they got some good quarterbacks. They got some good players, man. Like that St. Francis is a good school.
It's Greg Holcomb.
Greg Holcomb.
Yeah.
St. Francis from
Wheaton,
Pennsylvania?
Yeah, Wheaton over here. That's a good school too.
Okay, because my business partner out in Pittsburgh, Brody, played at St. Francis.
Yeah.
that's
D1 AA.
Yeah, these high school kids out here, like my nephew came in from the Bay, and my brother, like I said, he's a scout. He's like, man, you got some dogs out here.
He's going to go work with Greg.
He went out there. Yeah, he
school?
just threw. Yeah, he just threw when he came out for the holiday.
Yeah.
But he's got
We'll
trainers.
get him on the pod, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got some good quarterbacks. He's got a kid going to Michigan State.
Yeah.
Nazareth has a great quarterback, great receiver with Sestone's kid. I mean, they got a great school. 2 years, 2 state
He's only a
championships.
sophomore, man.
I know. So, yeah, but I like this area, man. You live here? You live in this area?
Yeah, I stay here on this couch. I wasn't lying.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For real?
We're on my bed.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're on my bed. But so travel seasons will pick up. So when I think fourth quarter, I was in Texas mainly, and then the weekends I'll bounce around,
In Houston?
hotels. Yeah. Oh no. Our parent company, Globe Life. So that's the holding company for us. They're in Dallas. Globe Life Field for the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know
So
that was
we
it.
had a lot of great marketing this year with them. So, but I figure between this half and then we have another suite. We got close to $20,000 a month just in.
But I was like you too.
Just in expenses.
I was super nimble, man. Like I remember being in New York and I would spend my days like, where am I going to sleep tonight?
I think I'm simultaneously nimble, but I'm also, again, I'm an aggressive spender. You know what I mean? But Dave could probably, because I always ask him, I'm like, do you think I'm spending too much in regard to the business personally? Like I'm not, bringing benefit and value to the business. And every time I've asked him, he's always like, nah, dude, I think we should spend more. You know what I mean? It's like, because I never want to take, I always tell everybody this is kind of like my philosophy on like how to really make it in sales. And if just my plan on life is, I think with what you said, one, first off, if you don't have a good product, it's marketing doesn't even matter. But secondly, I always tell these guys, I use this analogy. You can either get the biggest slice of pizza of the smallest pizza, or you can get the smallest slice of pizza of the biggest pizza. And I sit there because it's a lot of words. But I'm like, when they think about it, they're like, I'll take the smallest slice. And I'm like, my vision is to build $1 billion company and cut out as much equity as possible. And if I've got a couple percent, I'm way better off than where I'm at now with a lot larger percentage than I have now. And we did 4 or 5 million last year.
Yeah, I mean, I've never held over at the end of the day 10% of a company when it really gets to where it's going.
Yes.
Right. It's
Yes.
like 5, 6, up to 10.
And I feel like Dave's like, it sounds good, but make sure you keep your heart that way. And I'm like, dog, I'm trying to win, bro. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I think a lot of people will talk about it, but then you'll meet like rare individuals like yourself that actually stick to their guns and are cool with just holding on to a couple percent, because everything starts as a sprout. Even if you're like, I'm reading a book right now called Barbarians to Bureaucrats or something, and right when you sat down, you're like, I just use everybody else's ideas. That is this book, and it's fire. And it talks about the Steve Jobs and the individuals that just kind of come into an industry and they just kind of pioneer and pave a way. Of like one of the movies that kind of revolutionized my fourth quarter was The Founder with Ray Kroc.
Yeah, the McDonald's.
Dude, the McDonald's, and I'm like, bro, that's the vision, that's the passion.
Powdered milkshake.
Yes, the powdered milkshake. How aggressive that dude was. So, that's kind of my energy. So, because people are like, man, you know what I mean? You really live. And I was like, no.
What's the time? It's what you should.
I'll spend it.
I remember. I'm like you in a sense. Right now, I have a kid, so now I have to be a little bit. You look at my gambling. Like I probably lose like 30, 40K gambling, but that's on a note of like 700,000, 800,000 a year.
What's your game?
Just sports. Just goes throughout the year. Like
yes.
And it started from. I never started to do it till I had money.
Yes.
So it's a good sign for you can't spend money unless you have it.
Yes.
So if that motivates you to keep making it, spend it. That's good.
We went and got to meet Dana White because we went to a networking event in Vegas through Sarasani, and then he had Bob Menery there. We did a podcast with him, hung out with him the entire night. He introduced us to Dana White. He takes us back. Bob Menery takes us back, and I've never gambled in my life, so I never knew what gambling was. I ended up hitting a jackpot on a slot machine, made a couple thousand,
nice.
And then Menery's like, put it back, so I lost it all, and like put it back in. But then they take us back to see Dana in the high stakes gambling, and they're playing blackjack, and this kid, the kid had to have been 22, 23 years old. You're good, bro. 22, 23 years old, loses $100,000 right there on blackjack, gets up unfazed, pulls out another $100,000,
Sheesh.
Sets it back down on blackjack, and I'm like, I got
make more.
Yeah, I got to make more. Like that wasn't something that like I was turned off by. I was like, dude, I need to be in a position where it's like $100,000. It's $100,000.
Yeah, that's my friends were Dana White's. I'm friends with the daughter Kellyanne Fertitta.
Oh yeah,
And
the
they were-
Fertitta brothers.
Yeah,
The Fertitta,
depending on
yeah.
what hotel you were at, it might have been their Red Rock.
Red Rock. That's where we were.
That's their property.
Yes.
Yeah, their son just turned 4 yesterday. West J Namiro. So they're my really good friends from Venice. We just went to France together to see our friend get married, and we met in Bordeaux. We went to Petrus, the best winery in the world.
Yeah.
And so they're selling out. Bordeaux. They're sending us out magnums, right? $25,000 a bottle. It's all set up because of Frank Fertitta. And I drink a lot. I'm not drinking this month, which everyone appreciates from me, which It's hard too.
Dry
So
January.
yeah, well, it's not even that. I just want to be more selectively sober. Like I'm a big drinker, especially starting in the hospitality industry, working like you guys work. I entertain a lot, travel a lot, and so I want to cut back. Right. I went to the doctor yesterday. He's like, "You're healthy, but you're fat."
Yeah.
I was like, "So I'm really not healthy." And yeah, so like the Magnum came out, and they pour a little bit for you because and like they set it all up because of their customer, the Fertitta. And I'm just there by proxy, their peasant friend, which is great. But I drank like 3/4 of that Magnum. And then they brought out another one, and my friends were like, chill. But like, it's the best wine ever. So we bought some. We got the 2022 allocation. We get it in 2025. They said it's their best varietal since like the 1960s. We got it for, I think $4,500 a bottle.
So it still needs to age for another year and a half. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they're on the top of the mountain with the blue clay. And it was an experience, man. And that's what, loving wine and loving beverages. And we're sitting there with the winemaker, and his name is Olivier. And then the sales guy's from, the Bay Area, or he's from, where's he from? He's from Rincon, so Santa Barbara area. And he played tennis, and he started that Big Dog clothing brand. But he sells wine now for this Petrus. And we were with Olivier, and we're talking just football. Like, we're talking his favorite teams, the 49ers, right?
Yeah.
And so the Fertittas had the biggest box in that Allegiant Stadium in the Vegas. So we're talking to Olivier, and Chad, my friend's a big bettor too, Kellyanne's husband. And the sales guy's like, you're talking to the best winemaker in the world right now. It's like you're talking to somebody that people would pay millions of dollars to sit with, and you're just talking about football.
Now, when you're a best winemaker, does that simultaneously almost give you the badge of like master sommelier?
Well, he is a master sommelier. His dad's a master sommelier. This is like, they have their own thing they make on the side, but yeah, this guy is the best sommelier in the world.
Like, literally, can we get this guy on the podcast?
Oh, I don't know. He lives in France, right? So,
but like Zoom,
I don't know. Like, I don't know him like that. And again,
Okay,
I was there by proxy, right? So it was.
I don't know if you guys were tight.
We're not. So Chad can like hang with the crowd.
Yes.
Again, if they let me in, I bang the door on the way in. I invite myself. I'm a big invite myself places kind of guy.
That's how I am with like trying to get podcasts. I'll ask anybody.
Yeah. Well, see if Chad will come on, and then maybe he can introduce you to some people.
Now, I'm curious in regard to wine, because keep coming to my mind is Gary Vee.
Yeah. So he had a great wine with the D2C concept. So he really plays to his strengths, everything he does.
Yes.
See, I mean, you look at someone like him, and like that's a marketing genius.
Yeah.
So he made a wine, and he immediately partnered up with Constellation Brands, which is a portfolio company. And what they did was they targeted a specific audience, delivered a great product, and delivered it in a fashion that he knew his followers would be influenced by quickly.
Yeah.
And D2C wine's consistently grown, right? Consistently grown over time. And that's why I did this kind of project, right? Everything you see is lightweight. Like, this drink I make right here is in this can, but it's only going to venues and festivals.
Yeah.
But everything else is going D2C. Like, that little bottle is 75% if I sell at margins on D2C, you know? $10 a bottle, you know?
And you like D2C obviously because you're cutting out so many different middle parts.
Especially with distribution. Distribution is so segmented and so heavy to manage. First, you need your own person. There's a $75,000 salary to $150,000. And then you need to go talk to them physically every day, up and down the street. You need to go talk to the customers. You know, manage your distributors, manage your distributor reps. So that is such a thorough process. That's what we did at Vita Coco. That's what Prime's doing.
I was going to say, why do you think Prime hit it off? Because I saw some astronomical numbers thrown out there, and I didn't do any
billionth
research.
bottle
Did they
sold
do
recently.
$1 billion of sales?
Billion bottles.
Okay.
They did 100 million.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if they did.
Is that top or bottom line revenue?
It's top line revenue.
Top line revenue.
Yeah, but that's amazing. In 2 years, they did it because of that Logan Paul effect.
Now that's what I keep telling all my people here. I was like, there's a certain thing where it's like there's certain things I just can't teach immediately, but what I can get us to do is buy into just get in front of a camera every day.
Yeah.
Because this kid 10, 15 years ago was a nobody and just consistently kept making content.
Same with Mr. Beast, right? Like, he counted backwards to a million or something. Or did a million, right?
Yes. So those two individuals, those are the two individuals I've been referencing to revolutionize the insurance industry. And I'm telling everybody, you know, I've been consistently at the podcast game for 2 years now.
I was amazed. You said 250.
Yeah. My only
I thought I was coming to like David's house. Like, I remember your old office, right?
Yeah. Across the street,
Yeah.
No, dude. My only focus is reps, and because it's the only thing that got me through insurance to reach a decent level. And I'm like, well, if this got us to 7 figures, if we can consistently get reps in social media, I wonder how much attention we can generate, what we can do with it, and what that'll look like in 6 years.
Well, it's like two pieces. So for the Prime, first of all, they're two kids out of Louisville and they were sneakerheads, right?
Yeah.
And so they started off making their first drink called 3D Energy with an influencer, and then they took it to Alani New Energy. She's an amazing influencer too.
Yes.
And then, so they own 60% of the companies. They give Logan Paul, their celebrity, 40% of the companies. And they have like 200 people that work for them. Like I was saying, that like Vita Coco's got 200 people that manage the distributors, manage the stores, manage the shelves. So they actually have the infrastructure of a beverage CPG side of it, elite.
Yeah.
And then they bring in this influence, and then that's what gets that to the next level, right? That's what gets Liquid to Lips.
What does CPG stand for?
Consumer product goods.
Okay.
So, because again, when you make anything that's a consumer product good, you have to have feet on the street. Like I live in the streets.
Yeah.
So when I get respect, like I go around my network in the beverage industry, they call me Baby Jesus, right? 'Cause BJ. But it's because I live in the streets, man. Like you'll see me every day. Like even with this
Just
little
dishing
shop,
out.
I'm always in the streets, man. Like I do 200 cold calls like every 3 days. Like I'm make sure my number is 200. Because you talk about reps, like that's what Tom Brady said when he was a 5th string quarterback. And
Just reps. It's the only thing I'm good at.
He got that 1 rep in practice.
Yes.
Did it perfect. Then they gave him 3.
Yes.
Did him perfect. Then they gave him 6. Did him perfect.
Yes.
Now he's playing.
I asked JR the other day who the best player was of all time, and he said Jerry Rice. Who's it for you?
I mean, it's just specific, but he's probably a receiver-minded guy. I like Joe Montana, right? But I love Brady, and I love the way Brady influences right now.
Yes.
Being modern day.
Yes.
But I love Joe. You know, Joe's great.
I want to. You typically
Jerry's got a drink, Goat Energy. They're doing really well.
I feel like I thought Bill Zerian had a Goat Energy. No, he's got the vape pen that's got the goat on it.
Yeah, he's got a liquor too.
Oh, okay.
He's got a snake. It's called something I've seen. I can see it in my head. It's a ram.
I read his book, and it was actually, I thought it was just going to be like drugs and girls, but it was actually really good.
Well, he's got to be pretty introspective with life experiences.
Yeah,
right?
no,
He can't be just a moron.
Yeah, no. That's what I used to think because, you know, I didn't come from any money. And I used to think, like, man, these guys that just came from money and then multiplied that money, it's just easy for them. Like when people say, oh, well, Trump got rich because his dad gave him $1 million loan. And then I started to like make money, and I was like,
well, it's all a level, right?
It's not easy to multiply.
Achieve that next level. You just keep working towards.
Yes.
And you manifest it too. Like
the manifestation, but just working the money in general. I respect now. I don't care if you start it with $1 million, 10 million, -10. It doesn't matter. If you can grow it.
Oh yeah.
I respect the money. You know what I mean? I respect wherever the money goes.
I respect rich kids.
Yeah, bro. Especially because man, nowadays we're talking about Mr. Beast and Logan Paul. There's 12. I was looking at the top 10, 15 YouTube earners, and there was a couple 12-year-olds on there that just doing toy reviews.
Oh, I know.
Made 8, 9, maybe 8-digit plus top line income.
I know.
And I was like,
I have my nephew's 13, the quarterback, and we have a company for him called Hittin'.
Yeah.
StayHittin.com, and he did 25,000 in sales last year at 13.
Dude.
Just doing his sunglasses, and he hit me up. We were in Williamsburg playing baseball, and we flew back, and he's like, Uncle B, what's his madeinchina.com? And I was like, what do you want it for? And he's like, I want to bring the sunglasses over, like a pit vipers.
yeah.
I was like, all right, well, I'll teach you Alibaba. I'll set you up a P&L. We'll be on QuickBooks. And so he owns the company with me, and this was his first year. And he sets up his little tent, and he sells the glasses, and he's got a website. And when he wasn't busy with school and sports, now he's going into freshman year, he was always dialed in. He's like, I want to do the bandana shorts, Uncle B. And he's, you know what those are? And I was like, yeah, I know what the young kids are wearing.
Yeah.
So he's tight. Yeah, my niece, who's 10, who's amazing, my sister won't let me work with her, but I just got her trademark yesterday, curated by Kyla. I want her to just do toy reviews.
Yes.
And that's all I want her to do, man.
Toy reviews, dude. These toy review kids I saw one made like 30, 40 million. And I was like, toy reviews? Are you kidding me? Imagine the money we would have made,
Talking about toys.
Well, I put this information out there too. YouTube, there's a lot of these great companies that people are capitalizing on right now. 20, 30 years ago, they didn't even exist.
I know.
They didn't even exist. And it's mesmerizing to me on one, I think people overestimate what can get done in a day and underestimate what can get done in a decade. I think that's the hardest thing in regard to retaining agents is we recruit people off the idea of getting wealthy, off getting rich through sales. But they want it in a day. They're not willing to commit to what
you got to put that time in.
Takes a decade.
Yeah.
I typically open up podcasts with my curiosity is point of origin with everything. I want to know like where it started, and even further than that, I want to know where your parents started. So where's your family from?
I mean, that is all my socialization, right?
Yeah.
That's why David loves my political aspirations, and we could touch on that later. But I was always socialized working. I moved from Los Angeles.
Is that where you were born and raised?
Born in Phoenix.
Okay.
I was raised in San Dimas, California. and I moved here in 4th grade. My dad played professional baseball on the Tigers. He hurt his arm, and then my mom went to U of A, so that's where they met in Arizona. They had my sister and I. She's 42, I'm 40. And then we moved to LA, and then we moved here. And I've never seen snow. And in LA, I lived, when Catholic school, all Hispanic kids, didn't speak Spanish, but we went down to Mexico, Rosarito, Tijuana, and we hung out with their family.
Yeah.
Ensenada. And then I come here, and it's a public school, like 12 classes per grade. And I start meeting, Hispanic kids that don't speak English. And it's snow, and I was like, what is this? And I'm young. I'm like, what is this world? And so then they teamed me up immediately with folks who are at-risk youth as well as special needs. So a period a day, every day in my school here in Chicagoland area, that was my life. So that's how I was socialized. My dad was just a project guy, a hustler. My mom never graduated school. My sister was an amazing athlete. She's 6 foot, can jump out of the gym. She played volleyball at Kentucky.
Yeah.
She actually played. And so she's my role model, super smart, not like me. Like I'm a risk taker. I'm pretty different words I don't want to have recorded, right? But it's like I'm a different person. People know that about me. And you and I would get along really well off the mic. And I feel like when I got to be in 6th grade, I got a job, right? So started working at the hot dog stand at Max's Doghouse. I had a go-kart. I'd go out every day, and I'd try to auction off my go-kart to my neighbor's parents and sell it to them. And I'd always just find stuff in my house and try to sell it to the neighbor's parents. So I was always trying to find money. And that was really what motivated me, and sports was. So even in high school, went to school early. I graduated high school early with a 1.6 GPA. I just graduated because I wanted to go play ball.
Yeah.
And I worked out at the Berto Center. So for 4 days a week, I'd wake up early. I'd go work out in the morning at school, lift weights. I'd run my 1.5 miles during school. And then after school, I'd rip bongs and go right to the Berto Center.
Yeah.
And I'd work out with the Bulls 4 days a week. Al Vermeil trained me, and it was an amazing, so really structured life though. So I got into a lot of trouble. I got arrested a few times for just ignorant moves, but it was all kid stuff, but very, very structured life. And so even when I went to play football in college, that again was very structured. Wake up in the morning, work out, go to school, graduated college in 3 years.
Who was the most influential person on you in your first couple of decades?
Dad,
your dad?
Right? Yeah, he drove me, and it's funny because I always talk to my nephew because his dad is a great leader, and my brother-in-law Q, and they're hard on us, right?
Yeah.
So that's why when my dad would always, I was telling Drew's driven. Like Drew came out here, my nephew, to play sports to come for the holiday. Q's like, we're not sitting around. Like, we got to get him out there putting in some work.
Yeah.
I was like, come on, man. And I like Drew. Drew and I just mess around. And I was telling Drew, we went courtside to the Bulls game.
Yeah.
Don't ever get courtside behind the Bulls bench. That is the worst seats.
Is it really? Because I got him behind the opponents, and I was like, this is stupid. I should have got behind the Bulls.
But the coaches sit on risers, so 6-foot riser.
Yeah.
So because what's great about those courtside, row A, is they're cheap. Right? They're like
they were cheaper.
$500.
Yeah, they were cheaper.
Courtside, like it's worth it if you got the dough. But like if you could get that row A, that's a money seat.
Yeah, that row A was.
Free drinks.
We were like row A, and it was
get
cheaper,
there at 6
dude.
and there's pound drinks for 4 hours. It's amazing. And so my father is the man. He's a project guy, and really to me, that's the dude that showed me how to take concepts and ideas. He had me collect money for him when I was young, and he'd take me to Vegas, and I worked at trade shows for him. He always sold like knickknacks from Asia. So as I told David, I was sending this wire to Asia coming over here because the Chinese New Year's coming up, and I need 200,000 of those bottles, right? And then the Suez Canal's messing up shipping, so it's like...
I saw that this morning on the Wall Street Journal. Something in regard to the canal was shutting down.
It's a time frame. Can I get these the end of February or April?
Yeah.
If I don't get this in right now, I don't get it till April. And so I was sending this wire. This hemp banking is real too. Hemp banking is very hard to deal with. So my dad taught me at a very young age how to maneuver and do things and be like project. Like everything I call is a project because win, lose, or fail, you're going to learn. Like the wine company we're still a part of, we're pushing it, but the guys who brought in the last set of money, they're running it now, right?
Yeah.
So that project's out of my hands, but I'm still hoping that we can get it to the place it's supposed to be, but I didn't deliver us there, and that to me is a failure, that I wasn't able to lead the project to ultimate success.
Yeah.
A failure on my side of the coin, right? Not ultimately right now for the project, but that's kind of what my dad taught me, is that you can do all these different things and you could win and you could fail. And that's what sport was too. Sport was the biggest thing for me, is playing ball and having the team, the camaraderie and that energy, right? Because you can really elevate your mind. I I'm a very enthusiastic individual. I can see you are too.
Yeah.
You know, at times that I'm easily excited.
Yes.
Right? So
yeah.
I get super. That's what my old business partner's grandpa told me. He's like, you're a very easily excited individual.
I'm reading another book. So I do an audible book and then a physical book. And the other one's called Hypomanic. And it's about these individuals that essentially just pioneered success in general, from Carnegie's, Alexander Hamilton, all these different
nice.
historical figures. And I think, you guys have probably all been labeled like the ADHD. You probably didn't pay attention too much, or you'll find something and you'll just lock in and be obsessed, almost like in a state of like manic, like mania.
Oh yeah, I know I'm manic. Like I think things in my head nonstop. I was up today at 4:30 working. I went to bed last night at 11 because I was thinking, and my wife's like, oh, it's anxiety. I didn't know what the word anxiety was till I was like 35.
Yeah.
It's not anxiety. I'm excited. I'm excited to get up and work on this shit. Like this is my life's worth of work. I started taking these mushrooms like reishi and stuff in 2009. And the fact that I'm finally able to work with them in 2023, like that's what, 15 years?
Wow.
It's like, I'm excited. I'm so excited to get these products out there.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that company?
Yes. I want to ask one other question though before we jump into the company. Hardest adversity you had to overcome that kind of really, I like to use the word almost, pivoted your life. Where did that occur? When did that occur?
I mean, it's different at all times, right? You're always I see the adversity. You always face adversity, and that's really what makes you become who you are. And I'm very nimble because of the adversity, right?
Yeah.
So when you talk about when I opened my restaurant, I couldn't scale it because of the partnership I had. The restaurant is still there that I opened up in 2005 when I was 22.
Wow.
That restaurant's still there in Bloomington, Illinois, at Illinois State University. We all ate there when Nazareth won a state championship. And they opened another one with the same name, same menu in the same city.
What's the name of the restaurant?
Reality Bites.
Reality.
Illinois State University, downtown Bloomington.
It's in Bloomington.
Yeah, it's an amazing
new
spot.
part?
Bloomington. Normal is the new part.
Normal.
Wow.
Downtown Bloomington, it's old. Okay. And I played indoor football there, so I opened a bar next to an indoor football stadium. And I remember walking to football practice one day, and I saw like For Lease, the bar, right? And so I just got done selling mortgages. I had one of those black patent leather briefcases. I went in there and I talked to the bar owner, and he's like, yeah, it's not going well. I want to sell the business. And how much you want to sell it for? He's like, 120. And I was like, all right. And then I went to the landlord, the guy, and the kid, and the dad was busy, gave me to his son. I was like, is he behind the rent at all? And he's like, yeah, 6 months. And I said, okay, cool. I'll pay the rent, right? Let me get that 6 months rent. It was like $1,500. And then I'll take over the lease, right? And then I'm going to retrofit this whole thing. And he's a contractor. I was like, then I'll give you $100,000 and retrofit the whole thing. And then we signed that lease. And then in that lease, my lawyer was like, hey, put in here a year's worth of free rent for you. And the contractor's son and the owner of the property didn't read the lease. Oh. So he signed it. So I had the whole first year of rent for free. So and then I went into the guy who owned the business, and I was like, okay, cool. I got the lease all set up. I'm going to take it over next month. He's like, great. He's like, you got the check for 120. And I was like, I got a check for $4,000 for you. And I was 22. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, yeah, man. I'm like, this restaurant equipment's not worth shit. If it breaks tomorrow, which it all will, I'm like, your business, I'm tearing all this out. Like, it's called Crazy Planet Kitchen, vegan and stuff. I was like, I don't want any of the stuff you were doing. So he's so pissed. And I opened my briefcase, and he's like, what's in the briefcase? And it was just that check. Yeah. Just a $4,000 check. He was so mad, though. But but then I failed not being able to expand that, right? I failed in the wind energy company. So I face adversity all the time, and it's like, how do you stay nimble? How do you grow from what you've just learned? Like, even with this wine company at 39, like, I'm pissed every day I didn't sell it, right? So I'm pissed that I didn't get it to where it was supposed to be. Yeah. And so like, now what do I do with this next project? It's like I bring the investors in that gave me money from that onto this so I can try to make their money back and try to make them some money. So to me, it's constant adversity. And that's what life is to me. But you can't take it too seriously, because when you're dead, you're dead. Yeah. Right? I'm a big believer in faith. And God has a plan for you regardless of how hard you work or how much money you make. And
completely agree.
It's like, at the end of the day, like, I told my wife how happy I was this morning when I woke up, and that to me was the wealth that I wanted right now. Because usually I'm pretty edgy. Yeah, no, I wasn't.
1,000% agree.
Yeah.
What company did you want to jump into?
So that leads us to your current project, and that would be My Crew Doses.
Yeah, that's what we just had.
Yeah.
I feel locked in.
So
yeah,
locked in.
About that?
Well, it's just a company that we really seek out to provide non-alcoholic alternatives, right? Coming from the liquor industry, being a person who drank a lot, now I'm getting older and I have a son coming. I want to make sure that I love euphoria. I love being high. I love getting high, off of just the emotions that even without being intoxicated a substance. So I wanted to make functional products off of mushrooms that are obviously very trendy, nootropics, which are like supplements, right? A supplement you take would be considered a nootropic, like L-theanine. They give you a feeling, right? You take your pre-workout,
Yeah.
that's a supplement, that's a nootropic when they have in there. And then I love cannabis, I love hemp, right? So to me, hemp was an easy transition, and hemp's legal. Also falls very similarly to the beverage space right now. The biggest booming thing in beverages right now for non-alcoholic is hemp. It's the biggest ingredient.
Now, I've always been curious. I've heard of individuals microdosing psilocybin.
Yeah.
Now, is that medicinal and recreational just in Michigan?
No, it's illegal.
Oh, psilocybin.
So that's when I was talking about my friend,
Okay.
who's a hockey player. He played on the Blackhawks. He raised the 18 million to run a project that was research and development for research of his patent protocol that actually my doctor partner Jeremy made, and him and Carcillo, they partnered up on this, and they brought it to the FDA. And there's probably a handful of these companies that are doing it right now, and a lot of them go public. They're public in the Canadian Stock Exchange, and they have patent processes on psilocybin and how you microdose with psilocybin. So the soccer moms that say they microdose, right, they're actually just getting high on psilocybin.
Yeah.
When you microdose on psilocybin, you won't feel it. So the place you can take it now is Oregon.
That's
Clinically.
Oregon. Okay.
So that's the one place, and that's how it's going to be spread out. You'll never buy mushroom psilocybin recreationally, ever.
Ever?
And it's illegal, right?
It's illegal. It's a Schedule I drug. It'll never be, if it's ever descheduled, which it will be soon. The best presidential candidate, Kennedy, he wants to deschedule all psychedelics. So MDMA right now is getting descheduled. And so you can start, like ketamine is something you can take, but that's different. MDMA, you can start actually going to facilities and start being given MDMA for your depression and to treat you clinically.
And see, I've heard so many different podcasts that have said like psilocybin and these mushrooms are some have shown some of the best results.
Yeah, they do.
With individuals' mental health.
MDMA is a leader in that. There's the most research that MAPS has done. MAPS just rebranded themselves, but psilocybin is the most like trendy thing because it's the most accessible.
Okay.
So that's like what people love to take euphorically, recreationally.
Yeah.
And now that they're saying, oh, well, it's helped me out in all these facets, which my hockey player friend, it really helps him out, right? He's a fighter. He's gotten all these fights, and he's got TBI. He's got depression, right? So the psilocybin regimen for him takes the edge off. It really helps him be who he is. And routine is the biggest thing, right? He's staying in his routine, waking up early, taking care of his 4 kids, going to work out, getting his work done, eating well, having the positive interaction with his friends, his wife, everybody.
Yeah.
And then the psilocybin is a huge piece of that. But like we love psilocybin, but I'm never going to be able to touch psilocybin.
Yeah, so that's something you can't even incorporate.
Yeah, never.
What's the favorite mushroom? And I know they have different purposes, but what's your go-to mushroom to try to incorporate into a product to bring the most benefit for every aspect of life?
I love chaga, right? I love reishi to chill, and I love chaga to get you hype.
Okay.
With that, we have lion's mane and cordyceps because those are the most brain
I hear
power.
lion's mane a lot.
Lion's mane is great for brain power, and cordyceps is great for like anti-inflammatory. And what's funny about these things is you can't make any claims, right?
Yeah.
They don't do anything. And that's why when people are like, oh, I want to take these mushrooms, how are they going to make me feel? It's like so I brought you this. I love this stuff, this shijalit. This is the shit I love. And it doesn't make you feel.
I just saw this on
it
something.
doesn't make you feel anything, but I love it because it's fulvic minerals.
I take that. It's a little black dot.
Yeah, little black
and then
dot.
You put it in your mouth.
What's this
like
do?
that Stuff.
Doesn't do anything.
So here's the thing.
Oh, don't do nothing?
So
You don't
what I
feel
got
nothing?
from
No.
This is a nootropic.
That's a nootropic, yeah.
So it helps you. So this stuff, when you take it, I put 3 of them. So my trainer at Acceleration introduced me to this, and so you take 3, put it under your tongue. It tastes like tar.
Yeah.
It's horrible taste.
Tastes like Fenny.
Whatever it tastes like, it's terrible. But I feel like probably within 15 minutes, I'm able to concentrate.
I love that.
So, but no, you don't get high off it. You don't get anything, and then
Yeah. I take it every morning with my blood pressure medicine and my other mushrooms and everything like that.
this is crazy.
What are your thoughts on Rogan always advertising Alpha Brain? I think I've taken it once.
Well, so Onnit's great. That's Aubrey Marcus's brand.
Okay.
They were bought by Unilever. Joe Rogan's an amazing guy. He's like the godfather of podcasts.
I listen to it every night. I woke up, I couldn't sleep last night. I threw on Rogan.
Well, so he was the reason my brand was successful. The first brand, the Vita Coco Cafe, the Coco Cafe. Because I have a friend, JT. He was engaged to Britney Spears, and he's like 52, and he invested in Uber Series B, $30K, made $15 million. Britney left the meeting, right, because she was bored, and he went up there, he took her, And JT's an amazing guy, Jason Treywick. Google him. He's like my best buddy, and I love that guy. Lives in Long Beach, New York half is the year, and then Vegas the other half.
Jason what?
Treywick. And he's just the best guy ever.
Already popped up.
Loves pizza. Loves to work out. Best hair.
Yeah, I was gonna say he looks like an actor.
Oh, I can't say enough about him, but like enough great things. So to me, I always hit him up because he had Taylor Swift, he had Heidi Klum, he had Seal, he had Dwight Yoakam, and I'm always like, yo, let me get with these celebrities, right? Like, we were gonna have the wine with Rufus, and that would have been huge. We were gonna have the wine with Vanessa Hudgens, which she had her own thing.
Yep.
We were gonna have the wine with, this would have been the one, and I should have done it, but I didn't have the money in time. Sydney Sweeney. We're gonna have the wine with her.
Wow.
Like, that would have changed the freaking game for us, and we were right there. And
Could have exited right after that.
well, that's like, imagine her at the Met Gala with her own SKU. Like, Sydney was the one, right? And I just didn't have the money to close the deal.
Yeah.
And I was so pissed, man. And her agent Hannah is so cool, and her team is so cool. And then we were gonna have Young Gravy, who's just a bum. But we were
I see him on so many podcasts, young, and I'm just sitting there like, what the hell?
that guy's cool, like as a person in general, but his team is strange. So I always tell JT, and I'm like, yo, get me and he's like, what did you do when you were successful at Coco Cafe? And I was like, I hit the streets. And he's like, well, how did you get those celebrities? And I was like, oh, he's like, well, who were they? And I was like, oh, it was like Blake Lively. He's like, well, how did she get it? I'm like, she found it. And I was like, Kelly Slater. He's like, how did she get it? And I was like, well, how did he get it? I was like, well, I was sponsoring the surf festival he won, or the Lower Trussell surf competition. And I was like, Joe Rogan used to talk about it on his podcast organically.
Yeah.
Right. So when I went to these different distributors across the nation, and their guys, their sales reps were in their car all day listening to Rogan.
Yeah.
In 2011, 2012, they're like, dude, you know he's talking about Coco Cafe?
Yeah.
So I called Joe Rogan's office, and there was Joe, answered the phone in 2011.
What?
And I was like, yo, it's BJ. I was like, that's my coffee. He's like, oh, I love it. He's like, keep sending it to me. And at that time, it just sent it to him. I don't even know if he had video. He just posted it. Like, he talked about it all the time.
That's insane.
Yeah,
dude.
but that's how different the time was too,
Yeah,
right?
that's insane.
Like I told you, I sold that company in 3 months with a cash up front equity deal, and I got into Whole Foods in 60 days.
Yeah.
And I was one of 4 coffees nationally at that level doing 20 million in sales. Now there's Chamberlain Coffee, the influencer coffee. There's hundreds of coffee brands.
Yeah.
Doing that.
He talks about Black Rifle. I don't
Black
care
Rifle's
about
great.
coffee too much. I'll have black coffee,
Yeah.
but I'm not a
There's
big.
so much sugar in Black Rifle. I get it. It's a veteran thing. We have a veterans alliance with Microdoses with an amazing concept.
That's sweet.
It's
Yeah,
called
that's
No
sweet.
Fallen Heroes. This guy named Wiz, he's the best looking guy, second best looking compared to JT. He's a trader from Chicago. He lives in Florida now, and he's a Navy pilot.
Wow, that's
Air
dope.
Force, I think, not Navy. And so he flies these people in his jets all the
Yeah,
time.
that's dope.
Like I said, Dustin Lynch down there, and then he went to Colorado and he did all those people during Sundance.
That's
and
sweet.
So it's his cause to prevent veteran suicide.
Yeah.
And it's called No Fallen Heroes. And we
That's
have a morning capsule and a PM capsule with them. And that's what we're going to keep expanding that thing with them.
Is it like fighter jets?
Yeah, jets. You got
That's one of my favorite movies is Top Gun.
Oh, yeah.
I love a
Well, our
Top Gun
brand's
movie,
called
bro.
Maverick Mine.
That's sweet.
Yeah,
dude.
with him.
Yeah.
So we just launched that.
That's
and
sweet.
It's just coming out right now.
I messaged. I watched when Top Gun 2 came out. I watched it and it was good. You know, the original is always going to be the original. But I just went nuts on Google and I started researching. I was like, how come we don't hear about like notorious pilots nowadays? And I ended up getting a hold of one on Facebook. Messaged a dude, and he was intrigued on potentially getting on the podcast, but he had to go talk to like his upline.
Wiz will do it. Wiz has a podcast.
He would do it.
Oh, yeah. Wiz
bro,
is
that
amazing,
would be
man.
dope.
Oh, no,
We
Wiz
got to
is
go to
dope.
him, or he'll come here.
Well, he's here, but he'll do video for sure.
Dude, yeah, I don't care.
Wiz is sick, man. He's
I
an
pay him
awesome
money
guy.
to take me up in a jet, dude.
Well, he's got a box at the Florida Panthers games, and he's just like, he's a pillar of his community and
That's
such
sweet.
a nice guy. His thing is like fights on, right? So every
Fights
time
on, like it.
he's just like you. He's like an amazing, enthusiastic guy. And one time I hit him, I was like, yo, you know, he's on an advisory board, and I was like, I need to raise some dough. And he's like, all right, wait. Like 2 hours later, he had 40 people call me. 40
Wow.
people call me.
Dang,
Yeah,
dude.
to invest. Literally, all 40 of them wanted to invest. 2 hours later, I cried. I'd never seen anything like it. I was like, I'd never seen anything like the way you can galvanize people.
That's insane.
That's leadership, man.
Yeah,
That's this
absolutely.
dude.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I'm curious on your experience with the FDA because, you know, now that I know you listen to a lot of Rogan, and I imagine, you know, you're not a vegetarian.
No, I like
No,
meat. Yeah.
exactly. So I'm thinking here, I was like, dealing with the FDA, and I thought I saw something in regard to a food pyramid recommendation.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was like Lucky Charms were better than steak.
I know.
Do you have issues then with trying to get some of your products approved or anything with?
Well, so like this is interesting because the hemp is illegal to the FDA. So getting it made was difficult because I went to some of these facilities and they're like, oh, it's a food product. And I'm like, no, it's not a food product, right? It's a supplement. So it's not regulated by the FDA.
Oh, okay.
So these are great because they're unregulated.
Okay.
They're not illegal, they're not scheduled, but they're unregulated.
Okay.
So that is important for me because no, I couldn't do this with the FDA. They wouldn't let me do it.
So like someone wanted to put like hemp in like a cheeseburger, that wouldn't work.
You can't, no,
Yeah.
no. Market it as food.
Yeah, I was really curious on that to see like what was the workaround or how to do that. Are there licenses that need to be purchased as well? Or
Well, it's just like the 18 million going into the FDA to approve psilocybin.
Yeah.
It's like, why would they, you test it on rats, you test it on people, you test it in these sort of, $500,000 increments. To get a psilocybin approved, there's a big company out there that's doing it. You need like 100 million minimum.
Yeah.
To get it approved for clinical.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you have a state like Oregon who approves it for clinical stuff at state level.
Oregon has like everything legalized, right?
Oregon, yeah, Washington, Colorado, those are the flow, right?
Yeah, you can do everything.
Yeah. I mean, so the FDA, I'm not a fan of bureaucracy in general. I ran for office twice. I've gotten taken off the ballot twice.
Yes.
Right? So the first time I ran in Chicago in Logan Square for state representative, again, against a great guy. He's been there his fourth term. He might be the best mayor prospect in Chicago, Will Gazzardi. And we met after and we're good friends now. I got taken off the ballot for not enough signatures, right? I needed 500 signatures that were valid. I got 750, but I stood on the street every day. And so when they went and they check every signature, every address, that person's signature matches the address, it's not forged, they're registered to vote at that address.
Yeah.
And I didn't have enough of the 500. So I wasted over 200 hours doing this, right, myself. Drove to Springfield, got these signatures turned in, got everything notarized, and then when the ballot came out, the Democratic Party, I was running as a Democrat, took me to court. And so I was going against the Democratic Party's lawyer in court. I represented myself pro se, and I lost. I didn't have enough valid signatures. They're like, go back and go get these people to, like, we want to qualify them.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I'm not doing that. And so this time, it was more of a legitimate reason. I moved to Highland Park 23 months. When the election, you need 24 months.
Wow.
So I was 1 month off, and like when they challenged my petition, they call it.
Yeah.
I went down to court again, and I was like, well, if you redistrict, you don't need 24 months. You can have any. And I was like, do we redistrict? And they're like, no. And I was like, oh, well then I'm disqualified. And they're like, yeah.
When was the last time you ran?
This cycle.
And that was for state representative?
Yeah, state rep.
Now, my curiosity when it comes to politics, I've been studying a lot of presidents here over the last month or so, is why does it seem like it is way easier to submit a vote for a president than it does for some of these lower positions? I feel like they just let anybody vote for a president.
Well, what's interesting too is because they're off years, right? So the presidential election falls on every 4 years, clearly, and most of these other elections are off years. So people don't show up. Like that's why when I look at the numbers in Highland Park, to win the Democratic nod, there's 30,000 voters. So I need over 15,000 to come out for the primary. So, but if it's every 2 years for this election, so they're 2-year terms instead of 4-year terms. So if it doesn't fall in a presidential cycle, you won't really even know you're voting that month. And it's March, not November. So they don't do it strategically. They just do it because it's all messed up. It's too segmented. And then also, if you're a Democrat, you can't even see the Republican ballot in these primaries. You pull a Democratic ticket, you can only vote for the Democrats. You can't vote for the Republicans. So that's where they really now start segregating the votes, right? So I got into an argument with my wife's friend at her 20-year high school reunion that I got kicked out of because I was so passionate. The guy's like, and he's an elected official. He's like, run as an independent. And, we got into it. And he's a Republican. And I'm socialized as a Republican, but I have liberal views, right? And I'm conservative fiscally, unless it's personal. Business, I'm very fiscally conservative.
Yes.
Personal, I spend a lot of money. And so we got into it, and I was like, I am an independent, but I can never run as an independent because the system's not set up appropriately.
Yes.
Right? And then even in my area, I started running as a Republican. I went to go raise Republican money, and they're like, you got to run as a Democrat.
Yes.
And so then I'm running against the Democrat, and then the Democratic Party takes me to court again.
What are your thoughts on politically, like, there's limitations on terms for presidents, but it doesn't seem like there's any limits on any other of the political
positions.
Right,
like this guy that I ran against, he can be in there till he wants. It's a 2-year election cycle, but he can stay for forever.
Yeah.
I think that's cool because they can learn more, they can do more. But what I don't like is like the elderly. I don't like the geriatric people.
Yes.
Like the dude from Kentucky. I don't like that.
Was that the guy that like posed at
I think
the
it's like
end?
Mitch.
They made a
name.
meme of him. Yeah. I feel bad also because that's somebody's grandpa. You know what I mean? It's like, could you imagine you're a kid in like, high school and your grandpa's just
I feel bad for
locked up.
I feel bad for these migrants right now. Like that to me it's another archaic situation by elderly geriatric people thinking that all they're doing is getting money from some roundabout method.
Yes.
Personally.
Yes.
Right? All these people are so wealthy in the office now. Like AOC, she came in there with no money, makes $100K every year, but now she has 15 million?
Yes, I was going to ask you that next.
What?
Yes.
Like OnlyFans?
Yeah, that's what I was curious on that. It's like Pelosi, I saw projections of like,
she's crazy, 200 million, 300 million.
I'm like, dude, how do you do?
She'll go delist a company and then sell that stock before she knows it's going to get delisted.
Yeah, dude, I'm like,
she's crazy.
That's
You
insane.
see the last post, I forgot who posted, but I had the last 6 presidents, what their net worth was.
I saw that the other day.
Yeah.
And who was the least? It was Clinton.
Trump came in.
Yeah, Trump was the least. Clinton came in the poorest and made the most money.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those were 200 million. And then I think Trump came in worth 2.1 billion or 4 billion.
Lost
and
money.
now he lost over $1.5 billion since he served as commander in chief.
Yeah, so I'm done.
Everybody else multiplied.
I'm done with politics because, to be honest, the reason I wanted to be in there was for power, right?
Yeah.
Like first you get the money, then you get the power.
Yeah.
But my socialization from 4th grade, working with these kids, so I really love at-risk youth. I really love special needs, and so what it allowed me to do was go meet a lot of people where I live, where I'm going to live for a long time, raising a kid, and it's like it allowed me to see what I can do in that community, and then what I can do in the Chicagoland area. And that would be a 501c3. Start my own foundation, work with it in a way that I can control it and, fund it myself, make my own damn decisions, not go to like the city and the bureaucracy. Because that to me, like, again, driving to Springfield's a dump. Have you ever been there?
No.
It's like meth head capital of the world. Like, I think that place sucks. And so like going down there, if I had to spend half my life down there to listen to these losers talk about nothing and do nothing.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I've never been able to get a job, ever. Never once. I can't even, I knew my contract was ending with the wine company. I applied for like 500 jobs. Nobody would even look at me. You're not experienced enough to be an innovation manager at my company with a 15, 16-year track record of success innovating CPG products.
Yeah.
They tell me I didn't have enough experience. That's just
It's
how
insane.
it goes. So that's why I have to do everything. That's why I started Microdoses. That's why I start all my companies. It's because I have to, or I just won't be able to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Can't get a job.
That's
Unhireable. Yeah.
That's insane. So, what do you still like California?
I love California.
What are your thoughts
I
on
love LA.
Is it Governor Newsom?
That's what he's out now. We have
He is?
that's my ringtone, Tupac, fuck the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the governor in LA right now? I think it's I don't know, but you can't live in LA. No one lives in LA.
That's what I was wondering.
I love Vegas. My wife, we're gonna do a snow thing first because she's a great skier. And then that's where she's the best, happiest. And so I'll do that. And then we'll go back to Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't go back to California.
Okay, that's what I was curious. I was like, what are your thoughts on it? Is California just like stop by for a weekend?
Well, San Diego is great. San Diego is the flow because then you can go to Mexico. But I love Mexico, but it's not safe.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is like,
It's just tough.
how safe is that now? Well, we go to Cancun every year through the company, and I went to Puerto Vallarta. It was all right. It was
Yeah, no,
decent.
they're cool, right? I love Tulum. I love Riviera Maya. I love Cabo. I want to go to Mexico City. I love Ensenada and Rosarito the most. Like, I love to surf. I'm not great at it, but I love it. And there's always that error of, like, can you get kidnapped? And if your friends do stupid things, they do get kidnapped. And we've had friends get kidnapped. And then rich friends need bodyguards. So it's always, you're susceptible down there. And I don't know if I like that feeling that much.
Yeah, no.
No. I love the food. I love the hospitality. I love the water. I love the people. But yeah, that's
beautiful.
Yeah.
And we have an agent whose dad got kidnapped.
That's what I'm saying. It's always right there.
She's in Monterey.
What's your guys' next incentive trip for work?
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. Hawaii. But I told the guys I want to start doing a trip monthly. I want to start hitting certain numbers and just start doing a trip monthly and potentially dabble in an idea and a vision of, because we spend 15, 20 grand a month just on office expense, but we can do all our sales through Zoom.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what if we free up that money and put it into more incentives? You know what I mean? Or put the money back. I don't know. I'm a physical contact type of individual where I like to, collaborate with people in person. But I also think to myself, like, if I put 10 grand cash in front of a sales force,
They're gonna
and was
want
like,
it.
yeah, who's gonna go sell the most this month? I know we're going to get 20, 30% more in sales, but also have that 20,000 in freed up cash. So I don't know, just different things. Because we don't build, we sell whole life and term life. And when you pitch whole life, it's on the basis of, do you want to build equity or do you want no equity? And it's like, obviously when you hear of equity, you want equity.
But dude, that life insurance really helped me out as an entrepreneur because I was able to put money into one of the policies and then I needed dough and I had dough. You know, I had like 37,000 and I was like, I'll take it. And the penalty was small.
Yeah.
And I
it's a small,
money.
I think it's on capital gains.
There is no capital gains.
There isn't?
You
There
pay
isn't
interest back into the policy, but you don't have to because it just.
I meant
goes against
tax.
No.
You don't claim any tax on capital
I think
in the
it's just-
capital gain in the policy?
In the policy, nothing.
Yeah.
It's like when you recapitalize.
I swear I thought there was
a
tax.
business. Yeah.
I just had to pay a Northwestern mutual insurance fee and that was it.
Wow.
And I got my money and I needed
Paid
that
interest,
money.
That's it. Yeah.
And because I don't have a 401k.
Yeah.
Right. So to me as an entrepreneur, that's like a 401k to me.
Yes.
That's why I want to do it. So let's set that up.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. 5 years. Where do you want to be? Sometimes I get torn between, like, I'm 100% in the manifestation and vision boards, but I get torn between associating myself with time because I believe we're born and we're die and everything in between there. I'm just trying to go. So, but if in the future, where do you see yourself?
You know, very similar to where I'm at right now with just more peace. Like that's really all health and peace, and hopefully my family's healthy and spend a little bit of time with the elders I have in my family. And I know that sounds cliche, but that's all I really want. That's what makes me the happiest and the most content. It's not, like when I was your age, believe me, like I wanted to win the Heisman when I was in college.
Yeah.
I wanted to be I used to manifest like a yacht and all the, even in fifth grade, I would just think about, being on a boat, like partying, or not even partying, but just being somewhere else. And that's what really motivated me. Like, sure, I want that, but I go be a peasant with my rich friends and do that too.
Yeah.
I really, for myself, just want to have consistency with peacefulness in my mind because, like I said, I'm very edgy.
Yes.
I'm not like depressed or anything, but I'm definitely moody, right?
Yeah, I'm the same way.
So to me, I want to make sure that I can have a consistent mood and then spend time with my family, man.
Yeah.
That's really where I want to be in 5 years. I'll be 45. And
Sounds like you, man.
that sounds like David.
Yes. Yeah, dude. I don't know. So, I from the more I study these historical figures that I look up to, and I'm like, what is peace? At the cost of what? You know what I mean? So it's like, I keep going back to this cliche saying we've heard over the last couple of years: hard times make strong men, and strong men make good times. And good times
and
make
the stall times make hard times. I get that.
So I don't know, but I think peace is all perception as well, because I think it's whatever you think and believe and create in your mind. Glass half full. There were some other good books I read. Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, and it's just a man that has a why can bear any how. And so I'm as I've gotten older, and again I've not made nearly as much as you two have and done the things that you two have, but I take my mom's calls more serious every single day because I kind of work in reverse of like, I keep sharing this message with my guys of like there's a last call day with the people that we love, and I don't know when that day is. So I try to work in reverse of, hypothetically, how many days, and I calculate how many Saturdays would be left if life expectancy is 80, and it's like,
you start thinking about like that, huh?
Yeah, but it puts pressure on me.
It does.
Not in an absolute negative way, but more in an appreciative way. Like I force myself to be more present and more intentional with my decision making, my timing, but also not like when people tell me to spend less or invest less because they're just agents. Who cares? They don't care about them, and I'm like, this is a family, this is a business, and I'm like, I'm gonna spend more.
Well, especially for the crew you roll with, man. Like they need to see that. They need to be inspired. If they don't see it, then you guys are inspired by what you see.
Yeah.
Unless you touch it yourself physically, you don't believe it.
Yeah.
So they need to see it, and if someone doesn't show it to them, they're gonna go find someone who shows it to them.
Exactly.
They're gonna try to find it themselves.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you guys wanted to hit on or highlight? Questions?
Oh, I'm glad you came out, BJ.
I enjoyed the discussion a lot.
This is one of my favorite episodes, man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
We should
very
definitely grab lunch over here one day.
Yes. Yeah, dude, Capital Grill's consistent. I go there all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
That's our go-to spot.
Down the
so.
Gibsons too is nice.
Yes.
I mean, you have so many good spots. So
Yeah.
let's all stay in touch, man. Let's get on a group chat and
Yeah, let's do it.
Start doing it.
Let's do it. Adversity Kings, if you enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, please don't unsubscribe. My mom will be upset. Thank you very much. Have a good day.